So fast. Turn this volume down. How you doing, Kathy? Did you watch the other one that disappeared? Let me turn my TV down too. I just can't have it silent. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Rosalie. I've got my comments down here if y'all see me looking down, y'all. Sorry I'm running behind. I was waiting on food to come. And I'm getting everything set up. I got all my supplies out, but I didn't have my phone and my iPad set up. So, Kathy, these aren't hard if you just, it's just steps, you know. And I just, I made it by accident. But this is the style that we're making, kind of like this. And you can do it, of course, on any shape. Here's another one on one of the Hogs cups. But, oh, you're welcome, Rosalie. No problem. I don't know what happened to the other one, y'all. I really, it's weird. I wish, and even this one, I can't, like, change it and put it on YouTube to make sure that nothing, so it doesn't disappear again. But I thought that was kind of, I don't know what happened to it. But we'll do it again, and people can tune in now or check it out later. I don't have a supply list, so you might want to, if you want to make one, just write things down as we go along. I think I wrote things in one of the messages, except for I forgot to put black ink. I do use black too, because it kind of creates these little dark crater things, which ends up being a cool place to put different things, like this black one. So it looks like there's a turtle going towards it. So I do use a little bit of black in it. So I use this one all the time. I love it. I guess we all take a tumbler with us everywhere we go. Dang, I wish y'all could talk. I'm just going to go on and start. I do a tumbler. If you haven't watched my videos, I tend to do them from start to finish. So, and you'll see me blow drying and doing little things along the way to kind of hurry things along, because I'm not a real patient person. I painted one today and then had to put epoxy on it, and now I've got to wait like 24 hours before I can do the next step, and that's hard for me to do. So I tend to try to find ways to speed things up where I can just keep things moving. So anyway, this is stainless steel tumbler. I wiped it down with alcohol, and I'm going to use plain acrylic paint. And I don't talk about brands when I'm doing crafts, because I don't use any particular brand. I shop all over the place, and whatever I find on sale or cheap on the cup, I don't really tell a difference. So I'm not willing to spend more for higher cost things if I don't really know the difference. So when I paint, I have my trusty Post-it notes, and I just pour a little paint on my Post-it note so that when I'm done, I can peel it off and throw it away. I'll say a lot of little tips and tricks that I do as I go along. I'm trying to figure out where to put this tripod without messing up some things I got spinning behind me. I don't use my spinners very often unless I'm either dropping inks or doing a cup that has glitter on it. Then I tend to put them on the turner for the first coat, and then all the other coats I hang mine. I don't usually use a turner. And these are the things y'all been, a lot of people have been asking me about what these were that I epoxy on usually. And it's the little Dollar Tree pencil caddy and a Dollar Tree baton and a football. And if you want to know more about doing epoxy on these, I did do a short YouTube video. My road name in the motorcycle club is Squaw. So if you YouTube applying epoxy with Squaw, it's just a short 10-minute video, and it shows you how to use a $3 worth of material to do your epoxy. And I have them, they're sitting like all over this room because I'll tend to do like 10 cups at a time and just hang them. And these little pencil caddies are great because when you do epoxy on them, it drips straight down into the cup so you don't get a lot of mess. Oh, I'm sorry. I forget. I think I need to move on my stool. So I'm facing this way a little more. So I remember to look at comments. Tried the Post-it trick with Mod Podge. Yeah, I do that all the time. Post-it notes are my friend. I buy the big things of them at Staples. And anytime I paint or Mod Podge, anything, I put it on a Post-it note, use it from there, peel it off, throw it away. Hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Lauren. I'm doing this again because the other one disappeared. So, can I say I'm from Cali? I could listen to you talk all day. Y'all talk funny in California. My husband says he's from the South, too. He's from Southern California. So I told him that don't count. Hey, Robin from Oregon. I think you were on here before, right? My older son that's stationed in the military, he's in Oregon right now. So I think I guess I need to... Y'all can see my cup, I think. At this height. Maybe down a little bit. Hey, Oklahoma. From Georgia. Tracy, what part of Georgia are you in? All I'm doing right now, y'all, is painting my tumbler white. So, nothing fancy, no special way. And I'm doing this just because the colors will be a little bit brighter, even though I use dark colors. If I did it on the plain stainless, I wouldn't get the look that I want once I add my pearls. Oh, you're in Dallas. My son takes his guitar lessons in Dallas every Monday. We got Idaho and Pennsylvania and upstate New York. You have snow, Rose? I don't try and make sure this is smooth or anything because with the look of these beach tumblers, it doesn't matter if it shows a little texture. Wait a minute, y'all, I'm looking at a text my husband just sent me. We just got some good news, y'all. We put an offer on another little house in Florida, and we just found out it was accepted. So I might have to go on my iPad to sign some documents here in a little while if my husband messages me. So I'll keep an eye out. We even have Hawaii. Snow's melting. That's good. I couldn't handle a whole lot of snow. We had a freak snow just a little bit ago, and we had like 10 inches. And my husband was laughing because he was down at our Florida house. And we were supposed to get a Trace to a Dustin. We got 10 inches, y'all. So my husband was, he's all about the jokes. And he was like, I told you this was 10 inches. Y'all know that joke. But if you haven't listened to me before, ain't no telling what's going to come out of my mouth. So you just have to tolerate it. We even got Kentucky on here and Louisiana. Early December, you got a crazy foot. Yeah, it's crazy when it snows here. It's not that people don't like snow. Cassie's laughing at me. But we don't have everybody jokes how Georgia shuts down when we get snow. And it's because we don't get it often enough that our counties, they don't invest in any kind of snow plows or anything like that. So if we get 1 inch of snow, and if y'all ain't never been to the East Coast or Georgia, the South, it's all trees here. And when you've got trees that come across the roads stay shaded. So unless the temperature drops, it ain't melting. So that 1 inch just stays an inch of ice. And the school buses can't get to the kids. I'm in northwest Georgia, so we're kind of in the foothills. So our roads are pretty hilly and curvy and country. Oh, I'm missing all kinds of... I am putting on just white acrylic paint, and you can use any kind. You won't hear me mention many brands because I use all of them, just whatever's on sale. So I don't promote, any certain brands or anything. Because if I'm being honest, I'm going to find the best deal that I can find. And that's going to be the brand for that day. But it might change by the next cup. So all I'm doing is putting white paint. And it's nothing neat. And if y'all can see, it's kind of splotchy. But it's covered. And that's the only thing I cared about for this, is that you cover it. Used to live in Alpharetta. Alpharetta's pretty. You can spray paint. I just usually come in here to my craft room, and I'll just pick up a cup. Let's see, go into the corner for an hour. Be home. Okay. My husband, he's sending me little messages. I was making sure that there wasn't an email I needed to hurry up and sign. Alright, so I just pulled off my Post-it note with my paint on it, and I'm just going to toss it. And that way I don't put my arm in it. And I keep a little cup of water over here, and I just drop my paintbrush in it. And then when I need it again, I'll just kind of rinse it and pick up a paper towel and tend to it. Alright, so all I've done is put the cup on. If y'all want to turn your volume down. Yes, I'm sorry. We are doing a beach cup. It's going to be this style. This is the 30 ounce. And this is one of the Hogs straight tumblers. So you can do it, of course, on anyone. I've got a small one over there turning a 20 ounce. It's the first 20 ounce one I made. I didn't have enough room to play with. But anyway, this is the style that we're making, y'all. And they're good sellers. People tend to like them. If I just carry this around, people ask me about it and I get orders. So that's why I make a lot of beach cups. And I keep them, I try to keep a couple of them made up at a time, which is what I'm doing tonight. I only had one left that wasn't personalized. So I'll just make up 2 or 3 at a time so that when somebody asks for one, it's ready to be personalized and final epoxy, and then it's good to go. So that's what I'm doing. So turn your volume down if this bothers you for a minute. And the next thing that I do is my sand part. I like to use glitter on mine. I'm not into like a real sparkly cup. Tattooed, ride a motorcycle. I'm not a real girly girl, but I do like a little bit of sparkle. So I only use glitter for the bottom. If you don't want to use any glitter at all, you could use, when we're going down the cup doing the color, then you could just use a darker color down here. You could paint the bottom of it a darker color if you wanted to, But I do like just that little bit of sparkle. So I use, let's see, went to the beach the other day, got a container of sand. I want to do that. I'm actually going back down to Florida for the first week of April, and I do plan on bringing some back with me for a couple of projects. Rosalie, you made a couple. Oh, good. I'm glad your family liked them. And they may not turn out exactly like mine. Sometimes if your turner, which I do use a turner to make the beach cups because I'm dropping inks, and if it's just slightly angled down, then your beach part, the sand part, is going to get lower, which is kind of why I like using glitter too, because it'll tend to hold it there. So the next thing that I do is my glitter, and I use a copper, and it doesn't matter what brand, any copper. If you prefer fine or you prefer regular, whatever you like. What I like about doing cups is there ain't no rules. Do what you want to do. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine or anybody else's. So change it up a little bit and do what you like. And don't be afraid to try things. I think that's how I accidentally did this cup. And then I ended up liking it. But I'll take risk and just try things. Because at the end of the day, what I always say is it's just a damn cup. So if it looks like crap, who cares? Nobody has to see it. You don't have to post it or anything. I'm the only one at risk right now of making an ugly cup and everybody seeing it. Hey Trish, I see more people jumping on it. I'm sorry, the comments are over here down to my left, and I'm blind as a bat, so I do try to peek down. So anyway, all I've done so far is paint. And the way I do my glitter, because I'm not going to wait for Mod Podge and all that, is I'm going to use clear paint. I have a window right behind me that some of y'all know this already. I told my husband, you know, I don't know how it happened, but I pushed really, really hard on the screen and it popped out. So now when I'm in here crafting, I can just open my window and I hold my cup out the window and I'll spray my clear on it. So that's what I'm fixing to do. And all I'm going to do is spray the end of the cup, the bottom, and then up to about 1 inch. And I'm just going to get it wet with this clear spray. And then I'm going to come back in and sprinkle glitter on it. So if y'all hang with me just a minute, I'm going to open my window. Yeah, tell your husband, sometimes windows the screens just kind of fall out, and it really means you're too lazy to walk outside. But my craft room is upstairs, y'all. I'm not going to keep walking up and down. So let me spray this. All right. And then I'm just going to sprinkle, where's my paper? I try to keep things within my reach so I don't have to bug y'all by walking away a lot. But again, all I did is spray this with clear sealer, and it's sticky enough to hold your glitter on. And if it moves a little bit, I don't even care. I mean, sand moves, right? So that's my feeling anyway. So there we go. Now I have my sand. Stick that back in my pencil caddy and let me tend to my glitter, and then we can just move right into the next thing. Hey, I see more people coming on. Somebody said, great idea. What's that? Knocking out windows? Knocking out screens? Sometimes you just can't, you know, keep walking up and down. I use copper, and you can use any kind of copper. If you have some that's a little darker, or not fine. It doesn't matter what kind. Whatever you want to use is what I use. And sometimes if I can't find that one, I'll grab another kind. It don't matter. And same thing with my glitter. I use a piece of paper and then fold it in half, kind of like my Post-it notes. And then I can just move them out of my way. And then I don't have my arms all up in everything. So all I've done is paint a tumbler. Can you show the pencil holder? The pencil holders are Dollar Tree pencil caddy. They have the spinners on the bottom. So of course they're $1. This is a toy baton. Can you hear it? It makes a silly little noise when you flip it. Okay, so this is a toy baton and then the football. So $3, y'all. You can decorate, and I epoxy on these too, unless I'm dropping ink. If I'm dropping ink where I epoxy first, then I have to have it on the turner. After the first coat dries, I'll move it to one of these, and the other coats I will do standing on these. I call it hanging them, but I can epoxy 10 at a time, and I get a really good finish on them without bubbles or anything that I have to worry about, because gravity is my friend and it's working for me, so I'm gonna keep on doing it. I keep having people message me saying, but the epoxy has to be horizontal and it has to be spinning to level, but gravity, it will settle and level, and as it settles, little bubbles or anything come out. So the toy batons are also from Dollar Tree, and so are the footballs. So you can get all three of these. When I go in to get them, I usually get as many as they have, and I throw them in a tub. And if they start getting a little wiggly, because I use them, like I said, for everything. So if they start, you know, getting a little wiggly down here, then I'll toss it and grab another one. Like I said, whenever they have them, I'll buy them. So I kind of keep a drawer of them. But anyway, that is the, that's what I epoxy on most of the time. And it's also, when I'm working on a cup, it's a great holder because you can set it down. And then also you can pick it up easy. I do put a little, it's those little dish scrubbers that they also sell at Dollar Tree. And you get like 9 of them in a pack for $1. And I do put 1 or 2 around the bottom with electrical tape. And what it does is it just seats it in here a little bit more snug, so that it won't wiggle around on you. Because that's pretty sturdy right there. I can walk away if I need to do something. But if I want to pick it up, when I epoxy, I usually pick it up out of this. And I start at the top with epoxy and working my way down. And then I can lay it on the side and run my epoxy, and then when I'm done, I can just set it in there and I can walk away. Have you done any lives doing epoxy? Yes, my road name in the motorcycle club is Squall. So if you go to YouTube and search applying epoxy with Squall, I did like just a short 10-minute video just showing how I do epoxy on the pencil caddies. All right, so we painted this white, wiped it with alcohol, and then we painted it white. An ugly paint job, can you see? And it doesn't matter. And then I used clear spray and sprayed just the end of my cup and put on my glitter. And I got pretty good coverage. And like I said, I don't go for perfection on these cups. But I just sprayed around the end, put on my glitter. Now I'm going to hold it back out my window, and I'm going to spray it again, the sealer on it, so that when I put epoxy on, my glitter doesn't start moving around the whole cup. So I'm going to hold this out the window again real quick. Hey, Shannon. Oh, I did that a little heavy-handed. And I got some dripping. So I always have paper towel. Some of it, see where it got a little bit messy right there? That's the kind of stuff that I said we don't care about. So I'm going to hit this, whoops. I'm going to hit this again with the blow dryer. Amy, you found some pencil caddies. Awesome. Okay, if you look on my cup, you'll see how it kind of, can y'all see how the glitter, I went a little too heavy on the spray and it kind of rippled a little bit. And that's going to end up giving me a cool effect. You have the same blow dryer? My husband got me, my husband spoils me, Shannon will tell you. And my husband got me one of those really nice Dyson blow dryers, and so I immediately brought this one in here, and I do own a heat gun, and it is in a drawer somewhere, but I prefer the blow dryer because I like to play with it with inks and stuff. It actually moves it around better for me. So like I said, I'm a firm believer, if something works for you, keep doing it. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. Yeah, I had somebody message me the other day that said, I did your beach tutorial and mine didn't turn out like yours. And they were pissed. And I was talking to my daughter-in-law on the phone when I read it. And I was like, this chick is pissed off at me because hers didn't turn out like mine. When we drop inks, your drop might be bigger than mine. Or when you're applying epoxy, your finger might be heavier than mine. Everybody does things a little bit different. And y'all got to find what works for you. Because I'm happy to help anybody. I answer every single comment and every message. But don't get mad if, because I'm trying to help. But somebody she really got mad at me. I agree. Big Apple's getting perverted. Uh-oh, what's he doing? Big Apple is his road name, and her road name, Shannon, my friend, that's on here, is Little Apple. So they were asking me earlier about who's Squaw, or why I have things under the name Squaw. I said, that's my road name. All right, so I'm going to try and angle things now a little bit over this way. And when I start actually dropping the inks and stuff, I'll move the tumbler over to this side. I've got some turning right here behind me because I had some with glitter, so I had to put them on the turner, which I don't like to use. It scares me. I'm always afraid they're going to fall off, and I'm so used to hanging them. But I always do my first coat with glitters because it requires a heavier coat of epoxy. So I'll do it. And since I had two glittered ones, I figured I might as well just throw the other two on there too. So these are the ones that, let me see if y'all can see. Got those two spinning. The blue Michael Kors and a special order crackle. And then on the other side is another Michael Kors and a 20-ounce beach cup. So even my beach cups don't all look the same, y'all. All right, so we're gonna move to this angle. Sorry, I'm plugging in my phone too, because I meant to do that and forgot. All right, so the next thing, acrylic paint, we have our glitter on. So the next thing I need to do is mix up some epoxy. We're gonna put epoxy on the cup now, clear. I did seal the glitter for those of you that just came on. He's listening. Big Apple, you ain't got no business to be on here listening to me. I'm not singing or doing anything fun. I'm trying to get y'all where you can see the cut better. Sorry. Like I said, once I start putting stuff on it. Right now I'm going to mix epoxy. Most of y'all have done this 100 times. If you haven't made your first tumbler yet, what are you waiting for? Do it. It's fun. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Today I am using Amazing Clear Coat. Do I use this all the time? No. That's why I told you I don't usually say brands. Because I'm going to use whatever I have a coupon for. I tend to like to go to Michael's because I'm retired Navy and they do a military discount there. Hobby Lobby doesn't. So if I go to Michael's and have a 50% off coupon, sometimes 60, then and then I get a military discount on top of that, I benefit from going to Michael's. So right now I am just pouring epoxy, and I am pretty much an eyeballer. I always make a little extra, and that's because once my cup starts turning, if you've ever used India inks, and this stuff is what I put on last, which is mixative. It's not an alcohol ink. Mixative is different. It gives a reaction to your inks. So when I put a little bit of this on at the end, it separates the paints, but that's where you get some really cool effects from. If you look at this cup and you see how these colors broke apart and you see some white through them, and it's the mixatives that does that. And I do that at the end. If you have too much white showing through at the end, you can always take a tiny bit of blue acrylic paint and you can cover up a little bit. There's no rule that says you can't use any acrylic paint on a cup that you're doing inks with. So keep that in mind. I need a tiny bit more of this one. And Kara, I told y'all I keep forgetting to look at comments. Some of y'all have watched a lot of my tutorials, and I know you can answer a lot of my questions. So if people ask questions and you know the answer, would you please answer for me? I don't want anybody to feel like I'm ignoring them. At the end of the tutorial, I always go back through the comments, and I'll promise I'll answer any question that gets missed. If I see that somebody else didn't answer it, then I will. And right now, like I said, I'm just mixing my epoxy because that's the next step, is to get this cup going. And once you get to the next part, it really doesn't take long. Is anybody doing this with me? Anybody making one while you're watching the tutorial? I know a couple of people have said that they made them from the last tutorial and they turned out, so you can have good results, y'all. And like I said, every single one of mine looks different, and every single one of yours. And that could change just from room temperature that day. So, where do you find the little mixing cups? Are you talking about these? I ordered them from Amazon. If you search medical dosage cups, you can get like 100 for just a couple dollars. And because I'm not one to sit and clean the silicone ones and stuff like that. And then these are just cheap little plastic cups that I get at Kroger or Publix. Amazon sells them, yeah, for a couple bucks, you get like 100 of them. I love that y'all are answering for me. Thank you for doing that. Because I hate when, said last Sunday, y'all know, I was down in Florida when I did the last tutorial. So I'm just talking while I'm mixing. And somebody sent a message, and I had my phone on the holder in my Jeep. And I was driving, so I saw it, but I couldn't respond to the question because I was driving. I was on a 7-hour drive. And about 30 minutes later, the same person sent me a private message and said the least you could do is answer my question. It just kind of made me laugh. And I was like, well, I'm not going to answer that one at all. I'm going to leave her hanging. That one was on purpose. But I don't usually do that. I was cleaning mine out, started getting little chunks. So you started to toss them. Yeah, I just toss. I mean, it's just easier for me to toss them. Now, when I mix my epoxy, after I get it good and mixed, I bring out my blow dryer again. And let me angle y'all down. I lay my blow dryer down on the counter. And I set my little cup right in front of it like this. And I turn it on low. And I have it blowing hot air right on the lower part of my cup. And it brings my little bubbles to the top. Kathy, I got the mixative. It was either at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I go to them so often, I honestly don't know which place I got it. But I know I didn't order it. And my little bubbles have just about disappeared. So let me toss my cups. I make a lot of trash in here, y'all, because if you've watched me every step as I go, I'm just tossing something. But that's why I use the things that I use, like the Post-it notes. All right, let me see what I can do with this tripod now to get y'all over in this other neighborhood where you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Sorry, am I making y'all dizzy? My husband got me this new tripod, and I'm not a master yet. Let's see. How's that, y'all? The mixative is called mixative. Says it in big letters on it. And this is the pearl. It does come in a few other colors. I think I have a silver and a copper. Anyway, we're going to get ready to start over here on this. Is that a good angle for y'all? I was trying to wait to see a message. If somebody will tell me if y'all can see that. You'll be able to see it like as it comes around. I get so nervous about these turners. I don't use them often, but I'm always afraid it's going to fall off. Okay, so I'm just sticking on a glove, and I have all my inks out. I haven't opened them all yet, but I usually do that as I go along. All I'm going to do first is epoxy the cup. And I always start at the top and work my way down just in case some of the glitter does move. I'm like the headless robin now, y'all. So all we're doing is, I always do everything that's painted white. I'll get covered first. And because I'm dropping inks, I put the epoxy on very generously, which is why I don't hang the cups when I'm doing inks. I want lots of movement in my inks, so I go pretty heavy on the epoxy, because once I add that mixative, it's going to kind of move things around. And I always reserve just a little bit of epoxy left in the cup in case I want to drizzle a little bit more on there. So I'm just covering the white first. And I'm not worried about doing anything neat. I'm not worried about any little bubbles or anything like that. All I'm worried about is good coverage and making sure that there's plenty of epoxy. Once it's around, then I start running it over the glitter. I do this again just because I don't want the glitter to move all around the cup. Y'all see me just making a mess? That's why it amazes me when I see some of y'all doing this stuff in your kitchen or in other rooms in your house. I saw a girl sitting on her bed the other day doing a tutorial, glittering a cup. I was like, Lord, my husband would be happy. He'd be finding glitter in all kind of happy places if I did it in my bed, because I'm not neat. All right, so like I said, all I'm doing is making sure that there is epoxy. I want it on the bottom. I want it everywhere. Even though I'm not putting any inks on the bottom, this is my first coat of epoxy. So I still want to run my, did y'all see just using that clear spray? My glitter hasn't moved anywhere on my cup. Like I don't see a speck of glitter up in the white. So I know some people like Mod Podge and all that, but this works for me. It looks like my cup is angled down a little bit. I think that's better. All right, it looks pretty wet, y'all. So I'm gonna change gloves and start dripping. I like to start with India inks, and there is 3 of them. I'm gonna use an iridescent blue. I'm gonna use regular blue, and then I'm gonna use teal. When you do India ink, they do not look pretty. India ink, some of you have tried it before and some of you haven't. India ink does not spread around like alcohol ink, but it does have a really good purpose on these cups. Is I like texture and dimension on my cups. And India ink is heavier, the pigment in it. And what it does is some of it will start to slide around on the epoxy just a little bit, but a lot of it sinks down into the epoxy lower on the cup. And that's going to give us a more three-dimensional look. So this is the iridescent. When I put the mixative on there later, it's going to break that up and spread it around, and it's going to give us a lot of really cool texture. So that was the iridescent, and now I'm going to put some regular blue, and I'm putting, notice I didn't put any down here, and it's because I'm using darker colors. And the way that I do my cups, at the top of the cup is kind of like the deep end, and down at the bottom of the cup is like where the sand would be. So I don't want my real dark colors, because as you get shallower in the water gets lighter. All right, then the next one I'm going to do is teal, and because this one is lighter, I'm going to move it down. Bobby, I'll show you. I just glanced over there. I'll show you when we get to that what the mixative is and what it does. I'm adding in the teal now. I am going to bring a little bit up higher on the cup, but not a whole lot of it. I'm going to use more of the teal color down on the lower part because it's lighter. And that's where my shallow end is going to be. And like I said, these India inks are much heavier in the pigment. And a lot of it, it's hard to see unless you're looking right at it. But it sinks down into the epoxy and sits more on the cup, where alcohol ink is more on top of the epoxy and moves around. India ink is much heavier, so it will move down lower. So then you're going to just start with your alcohol inks, and I always start with my dark colors. That's not what I wanted. I always start with my darkest color, which is black. And I don't put too much black on it because black, if you've used it, can tend to overtake a cup. But I do like using it a little bit because it kind of creates some caves in the cup, which I like to place fish and things like that in the cup. So let's come around this side and do one more. So I use just about 4 or 5 drops of black, and that's all. That was pitch black. And then I just start pulling from any blues that I have. And I always start with my darkest colors. And I just start dropping around on the top of the cup. No rhyme or reason other than keeping the dark colors to the top end of the cup. And it doesn't look pretty at all right now, y'all. These start out looking real ugly. And I'm just going to keep grabbing from my pile of inks. And I'm not really naming inks. But what you do is just line up any blue inks that you have. Line them up from darkest to lightest. And start with your darkest at the top of the cup. And then just start moving down the cup. And filling in the white. When I add mixative, you're going to see white pop out again. Because it'll break up the inks, which is what mixatives do. But all I'm doing now is looking at my blues and using my darkest ones at the top. And then I'll go back and put like 1 or 2 drops around. And I'm just kind of working my way down lower on the cup to lighter colors. And by the time I get near the sand, I'm going to be using some teals and pool, I think, turquoise. Just whatever light colors happen to be in your stash. These are just what's in mine. Is there a rule that says I can't put a lighter color up towards the top? I can if I want to. Because like we said, there's no rules. So anywhere that I see white, I can just drop ink. Another thing that India inks do, they tend to dry out your epoxy. They move your epoxy. And that's another reason I keep a little bit of, I told y'all I keep a little bit of the epoxy left. And so that if I need to drizzle a little bit more, I can. All right, I think I just got like one more. And then we're going to move to, let's see what color this is. This one is a little bit more greenish. And it tends to lighten up this end a little bit. I'm going to stick a spot up there at the top too. All right. So that's all the inks that I'm going to throw on there, y'all, except for down here by the water line. I haven't even been looking over there at comments. I'm sorry, y'all. I hope people are answering your questions. All right, so the last thing that I use, well, second to the last, is Bombay ink. And this is India ink again. And like I said, it's heavier than alcohol ink because I want to put some white tips down here. If you look on my cup, you see that white down there? We want it to look like where the little waves splash along the shoreline. And sometimes you get some little white caps out here. So I'm going to put some out there too. But I'm going to start taking my white, and this dropper's not working real good. But I'm going to start putting white down here at this end. Oh, it's like my dropper is clogged up. So I might just have to almost drizzle it on there because my dropper's not sucking it up. Let me see if I can grab another white dropper. I think I've got another white somewhere. Yeah. It's a slightly different kind of ink, so I'll just use the dropper for this. That's better. Yeah, it was just kind of clogging up. This white is thick. It's very, very, very textured. And I just kind of start moving it around. I want some down on the sand part, and I want some a little bit up in the water part. Because the last thing I'm going to do on this cup is play with this white with a popsicle stick and create some little wave effects. And this is, like I said, it happened by accident the first time, and you just have to not be afraid to try things and play and keep reminding yourself at the end of the day that it's just a cup. So if you screw it up, it doesn't matter. The world doesn't end. All right, so the other thing I told you that we were going to put on it is the mixative. The mixative is this, and you don't want to put too much because it will work kind of like a silver does, how it can take over your cup. And I just want to put a couple of drops because it's going to add a little bit of dimension, and you'll see it start to break up a little bit of the colors. And I'm just going to put